So here's a real life, just shy of a 2-year review on my 2021 Ford Raptor 801A package. This truck I ordered back in early 2021, right the first day of the launch when they were going to announce the new Gen 3, and it was the middle of COVID and Ford had a lot of issues with getting vehicles out. This was the truck I ordered, and I actually ordered it in a 37 package, but they're having some supply chain constraints, and the dealer actually ended up selecting the option without the 37 package, and the truck got built, and I ended up getting it. It ended up showing back up to the dealer like 16 months later. I'd actually given up on it. I was really bummed out. The truck was built with every feature I wanted except without the 37 package, and I was kind of bummed out at the time. You know, I'm just like, you know, bummed that, you know, I'm not getting the blue seats. And then I saw one actually with the blue seats, and to be fair, I really did not like it. I thought it was kind of ugly. And I was then, when the truck showed up without the 37s, it wasn't as big of a deal because the factory seats are actually really comfortable. They got really great support. They hold you in good. What's amazing, of the 3 generations of Raptors I've had, and I've had the Recaros on the Gen 2, the standard seats on the Gen 2, the cloth seats even on the Gen 2, these are by far the most comfortable generation seat I've seen in the Raptor series. And if you just look at this, you know, 1.5 years of use, a lot of camping, towing, off-road, these seats are holding up great. I'm not seeing any breaking down, any seams, any lines. I mean, the seats look phenomenal. And if I look too, you know, in the rear, got the car seats in there, but the seats are holding up great. There's no issues. I'm not seeing any wear issues really on the interior. Everything seems to be holding up pretty decent. Obviously the Bang & Olufsen system, but fast forward, and a friend of mine got almost a very similar truck, and he was telling me that you can make the 37 package, factory 37 package rims and tires. They will work on the Gen 3 without having a 37 suspension package. So we start looking into it, and sure enough, it does work. Now the key is you got to get the factory OEM Gen 3 wheels from the 37 package. There's a little bit different offset on these rims than the standard non-37 package rims, and 37 package OE BFG KO2 tires. They work. I mean, this truck's been off-road. These tires and wheels probably have 15,000 miles on them, a dozen times at the dunes. I mean, these tires have been off the ground a bunch of times. There's no rubbing, no spots, nothing, no issues. And it hasn't made any contact. And the truck is dirty, purposely just showing the real life of a pickup truck. No rubbing, no issues, just works great. One of the differences I noticed going from the 35 package bead locks to the 37 package bead locks is the ride differences. These ride better than the 35 package tires, which is surprising. I didn't know that I'd noticed that, but it comes at a trade-off. The trade-off is I noticed more body roll with the 37 package versus the 35 package. So that's another thing I noticed. I had some apprehension about getting a lead foot gray Gen 3, as I had a 2018 on order in the Gen 2 with the lead foot gray, and that lead foot gray actually had a lot of paint imperfections, and it just seemed like it scratched really easily and kind of spooked me. So I had a little bit of reservation about getting a Gen 3 with the lead foot gray, but this paint held up awesome. We've camped a dozen plus times with this thing. Dirt roads, hunting, snowmobiles, pulling trailers. It's been great, no issues. The front end's holding up good. I don't really have any rock chips. I think I've got one really tiny spot right there on a rock chip in the front end. Everything's held up great. These headlights are awesome. These are the dynamic bending headlights. Very good headlights. Factory fog lights, both sets work great. I actually bought these aftermarket right here just to add a little different color for if it's rain or dusty or any off-road environment. But yeah, the truck's held up great. Factory skid plate, it might have a scuff maybe in the rear back here, but I mean, there's no dents, nothing really noticeable with any of the off-roading we've done with it. I love the truck, honestly. At first I was a little bit skeptical on the Gen 2 looks versus the Gen 3 because I really like the aggressive front end of the Gen 2. And I was not really sure what I thought. Fast forward 2 years now, The parts of this truck that I think really look nice are some of these body lines, like right here. I just kind of like how it creates like this fold on the top of the fender in the front and then carries it out on the side of the bed, which fortunately for Gen 4, you could call it the Gen 4 Raptor or Gen 3.5, it's gonna carry those same body lines, which is nice. Some of the other features, which is cool with being an F-150, is like the passive entry. You get close to the vehicle and the lights come on. You don't have to open the door. That's a really nice feature that Ford does. Another thing I like about the Gen 3, these mirrors. They're a huge upgrade versus the Gen 2 mirrors. They look better, but functionally they work a lot better than the Gen 2 mirrors. They just have better coverage, better for towing, better for day-to-day. I have not put a windshield in this, the factory windshield, no chips, no cracks, so that's been good. Ride quality, if you're on the fence of buying a Gen 3 and you've had a Gen 1, a Gen 2, or never had a Raptor at all, ride quality in Gen 3 is phenomenal, truly incredible. Here's the bed. Some of the upgrades I like with this has got, I think, the 400 watt. This is the 400 watt system in the back of the truck with the factory spray and bed liner. And then I just run typically the Pro X15 covers. I go with these covers typically for a few reasons. I believe they're made in America, number one. The material is like a little bit more premium cloth, so it seems to hold up to the abuse. Plus, I use my truck and I use the bed all the time, so I need something that easily rolls up. I don't have to pull off. For me, I think I've had like 5 or 6 of these now. It's my go-to. It seems to hold up really well. The other thing, I didn't order my truck with the tailgate step, which I would have because I like the tailgate step. But to get the tailgate step, Ford forced you to getting the technology package, which is with the generator. It sounds like, man, why would you not want the generator? Well, for a few reasons. If you get the generator, the problem with it is I drove one and the road noise was horrible. There's a bunch of road noise from the inverter that's underneath the seat here, and you just kept hearing this fan blower motor the whole time, and it really annoyed me. So I didn't want that for that reason. Secondly, you lose a lot of storage underneath the second row. I didn't like that. And third, it forced you into a power tailgate, which is super heavy. I don't need it. I'm just happy with just honestly just the simple step for loading dirt bikes and whatnot. So unfortunately, I did not get that feature. But in general, you know, if someone asks my question, what do you think about the Gen 3? Get it. If you're on the fence or you appreciate the off-road capabilities of the Raptor, or you've had a Gen 1 or you've had a Gen 2, it's phenomenal. There's no question about it. And people, you know, one of the reasons people didn't like the Gen 2, or maybe some people have some preconceived notions on the Gen 3, was for the exhaust tone. They fixed that issue. The Gen 3 V6 sounds awesome. It's great. I mean, it doesn't have the issues that Raptors had in the past for sound. I mean, they just did a great job with the Gen 3 engine and the exhaust sound. So here's the under hood, factory intake. I think I've put 2 air filters in this truck. You know, try to keep it pretty clean underneath here. Just maybe lightly sprayed off, but nothing ever really crazy. I think it's original battery. I don't know if they ended up ever having to replace this or not, but what I do love too about the Raptor is it does have functional venting on the hood, and then functional venting, see my fingers over here, functional venting for heat extraction on the sides. Just neat stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty premium. If you're not aware, with Raptor, hood fenders are fiberglass, not aluminum, fiberglass. One of the reasons they do it is because it's easier to mold a little bit of an exotic shape. I think it's kind of hard to make aluminum with all of this wide body channeling on it. What's funny about this truck is this is the longest I've actually ever owned a Raptor of the 5 I've owned. I typically get tired of them after 6 months or so. This one's just shy of 2 years. And I've also got the least amount of complaints I've had with this one. Ford did a great job on the Gen 3, and I'm excited this one's actually going to be staying in the family. A little bit of a sad moment for me. Last probably drive in my 2021 Ford Raptor. Just some life changes with work and whatnot. I'm actually going to get into an SUV for my wife. And I've still got my 23 F-350 that I'll be driving. If it changes where we make a move from fifth wheel back to fifth wheel back to a travel trailer, I will be back in a Raptor. But in the short term, unfortunately, the 2021 Raptor is on its last days in our family. This is the last drive. You know, I've been really impressed, honestly, with the ride quality of this truck. If someone has not had a chance to drive a Gen 3, I highly recommend it. This is my 5th Ford Raptor. I've owned a 2014 Gen 1, and I actually put a lot of miles on that. I think I had 150,000 miles on it when I was done with it, and had really minimum issues with it, and actually had a pretty premium Icon Stage 4 off-road suspension in it. I had a 17 Ford Raptor in Avalanche Gray, had a 19 Ford Raptor, like the carbon gray, I want to say, something like that, charcoal gray. I can't remember the specific color. And then I had another 19 Raptor that was a Oxford white 802A with the Recaro seats and interior. I really liked that truck, but I knew that the Gen 3 was coming along, and I wanted to be ready for a Gen 3. So I ended up selling the Gen 2 2019 and got the 21, and you know, here we have almost just shy of 16,000 miles, and I have to say I don't have any regrets on this truck. This is by far the best Ford Raptor they've came out with. Ride quality is great. I mean, just the little features like with exhaust, all your customization right from your steering wheel. I mean, you got exhaust preferences, you've got suspension, you got suspension preferences, and you've got steering wheel feel. I mean, what vehicles do you get with all these capabilities for this price, this off-road capability? It still tows well as a truck and still gets reasonable fuel economy. I mean, now this tank here, I'm only, well, let's put it this way, just shy of 15 miles per gallon for the last 600 miles. That's not terrible, you know, it's not terrible. And what I like is now put it in quiet mode, just shuts the exhaust right up. So this truck, like two of my other Raptors, I custom order it. So I try to get every option I can, except no sunroof. I will not order a sunroof in a new Ford vehicle if I can help it. I know it's probably, some people probably like it for resale, and it is a cool feature. You know, it's cool having the you know, the panoramic roof and the view and all that. It's nice, I get it. But the issues that come along with these sunroofs is just terrible. I mean, I've had so many issues with the panoramic sunroofs. They either leak, they creak, they make noises. They're not reliable, and you're paying a lot of money for them. Plus, God forbid, if you ever get in an accident, it's just not as safe having a sunroof, you know, if you roll over or anything like that, versus a solid roof. And then lastly, a lot of people don't realize when you do a sunroof, I think it takes away somewhere between 100 and 150 pounds of payload capacity, because it puts all that weight up here. And even more so when it puts the weight up there, you're actually changing the center of gravity just a little bit. And I'm not saying it's super noticeable, but you know, I mean, 150 pounds at the top of a roof versus at the bottom, or no 150 pounds, you know, it's going to have an impact to the driving mannerisms. Things I like, you know, the different drive modes, like for instance, I'll put it in sport mode right here. It changes the exhaust to the quiet, or it changes the exhaust, but the paddle shifters are just like instantaneous. And then the rev matching, watch, I'll downshift. I mean, it's just awesome. Get a nice gurgle in there. You know, we're at an era for people that are automotive enthusiasts. We're running out of time for stuff like this. I think it's a matter of time where we won't be able to buy trucks like this in the future. You know, the Hellcat has hung it up in the TRX. That truck is done. All the muscle cars with the Hellcat is done. I don't know if they're going to bring a new Mustang out with the 5.2 supercharged. You know, Ford did announce that Gen 4 Raptor they're going to bring out, and it's going to have the Raptor R variant. That's all great. I just don't know how much time we have left with trucks of this caliber and off-road performance and whatnot. So if people are on the fence of them or thinking about holding on to one, these are kind of cool trucks. And I'm being a little bit biased, but the 21 Gen 3 is going to be a truck that I think will be really remembered for a lot of reasons. It had all the bells and whistles. It didn't get decontented like years to come for 2022 and 2023. This truck still has a torsion front differential. If you're into off-roading or rock crawling or mud or something where you need all the performance from the front axle, you can get it on a 21 Raptor. You can get it on a 22. You cannot get it on a 23 Raptor. And for me, I think it's a huge disappointment. And I'm confused as why Ford is doing that, because you can get a torsion front differential on an F-150 trimmer. I mean, come on. How does it make sense that you can get a locker front and rear on a trimmer F-150, but not on a F-150 Raptor? I don't know. But for someone on the fence, or if you're thinking about doing it, do it. This 5-link suspension is absolutely incredible. The shocks on the new one, awesome. Just a great truck all around. Technology, the safety, the fuel economy, you could still tow with it. It's a heck of a value. This is my 2-year review of my 2021 Ford Raptor. I give it 2 thumbs up.